So yesterday, the murderer of Eric Garner, Officer Daniel Pantaleo, formerly of the New York Police Department, was finally fired from the police department. The police commissioner gave a 13-minute impassioned speech where he basically put the fault at both the officer's death at the hands of the officer and Eric Garner. Officer Pantaleo was a brutal officer who had had several complaints, but was allowed to keep his job. So, and in 2011, he had a complaint. The agency had an unsubstantiated allegation about an abusive stop and frisk in 2012 and in 2011, which resulted in another Part 2 complaint that was reported in April 2016. According to the opinion of experts interviewed by Think Progress and our own review of the CCRB data, this, along with the sheer number of cases, indicates with Officer Pantaleo a chronic history of complaints and would make his disciplinary history with the CCRB among the worst on the force. So not only is he a murderer, but he was among the worst on the force. But yesterday, the commissioner called him a good officer. What exactly would a bad officer be? He had the worst record on the force, and he's a good officer. What's the line? What is a bad officer? What is an exemplary officer? What is somebody you hold in high esteem? He had so many complaints, and the thing that I find particularly galling is he was fired for lying. So murdering a black man, all right. Lying about murder of a black man is a problem. This is a guy that this police department holds up as a good officer, held in high esteem, high regard. People are right now fighting for him to have his job back. A brutal, murdering police officer is now fighting to keep doing the job where he was allowed to be brutal, where he was allowed to disrespect people's rights and to brutalize people. He wants that job back. And there are people on the force right now who want to help him get it. Eric Garner died for selling cigarettes. You know what Pantaleo's most severe disciplinary action was? 2 days off his vacation. He had to surrender 2 days of vacation. So let me get this straight so that we can understand this. A black man selling cigarettes gets the death penalty. A dude who murders him gets 2 days less vacation. It has been 400 years since the first slave showed up on the shores of America. And I guarantee you they would not recognize a lot of things. They wouldn't recognize streets and names. They wouldn't recognize the ability. They would be in awe of the ability we have to move in ways they never could have, that we can read, that we can learn, that we can ascend, that people live together, and that people have some measure of respect for each other. They would be in awe of the amount of progress that we've made. They would be in awe of the things that we could do that they never could. 400 years ago, the first slave landed here, and there would be so many things about America that he could never or she could never recognize. So many things that would be foreign and exciting and exhilarating. But you know the one thing that they would recognize? The total disregard for black lives. They would understand and recognize that look, even though 400 years ago they came to this country. They would recognize what we still see. A total lack of regard for people who are dying. 11 times, this man said, "I can't breathe." 11 times he said it. 11 times we watched, we saw him struggle to live, and the best we get is somebody not being able to do what they love to do. As much as we've changed, and as much as our forefathers would be in awe of how far America has come, they would recognize that familiar look in their eyes when they tell you that your life really doesn't matter.